Lionel and Patrick, what a pair, thinking outside the box. They don't play fair, unconventional ways, breaking all the rules, making their own path, never following the fools. Unconventional playbook, rewriting the game. Lionel and Patrick, they'll never be the same. Dancing to their own beat in a world so plain. Unconventional playbook, they're here to entertain. Lionel's a dreamer with stars in his eyes. Patrick's a schemer with tricks in disguise. Together they're unstoppable, a force to be reckoned with. Their unconventional playbook, they'll never be second. Unconventional playbook, rewriting the game. Lionel and Patrick, they'll never be the same. Dancing to their own beat in a world so plain. Unconventional playbook, they're here to entertain. Against all odds they stand tall. Through highs and lows they never fall. Lionel and Patrick, a duo so rare. With their unconventional playbook, they're always there. Unconventional playbook, rewriting the game. Lionel and Patrick, they'll never be the same. Dancing to their own beat in a world so plain. Unconventional playbook, they're here to entertain.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook. I'm your host, Lionel Jones, along with the sports guru, Mr. Patrick Buchanan, who this is the night we've all been waiting for, all UP Nation. You guys have been waiting for this. I know you've been sending me emails, putting stuff in the comments. We want to get the Vikings schedule done. At the end of this thing, we're going to have a good idea of where the Vikings are going to be record-wise. And, of course, at the end of the year, we're going to look back and see who came the closest. And listen, here's what I want to do, Pat. I want UP Nation. I want you guys to be involved in this as well. So go to the comments, and I want you to put what you think the Vikings record is going to be at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, it won't just be Pat. It won't just be me. It'll be a bunch of people to see who hit this thing dead on the head and who came the closest. So go to the comments. First of all, hit that like and subscribe button. Go to the comments. Put what you think the Vikings win-loss total will be for the year. First of all, I got to welcome my guy, Patrick Buchanan. Pat, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Glad to be here another day, taking care of the UP. So I've been waiting for this. I done went through it. I did my study, my homework, so I'm ready
You
to
look
get
nervous,
the
Pat. You look nervous right now.
It ain't nervous, right? I'm excited, right? I'm really excited. I'm trying to hold it in because I might have a little extra enthusiasm as I'm going through my pick. So I'm just holding back right now. That's all.
Yeah, see, I'm a little nervous because I know you've got this keen insight, and you usually know what you're talking about when it comes to picking these games over the years. I know talking with you about some games, who's going to win or lose. Usually, you are right on the money with your games. But let's get this thing started, man. I got the Viking schedule pulled up, and like you, I have spent a lot of time thinking about, okay, how am I going to come with this? How am I going to evaluate things? There's some interesting things on the schedule. We can talk about that as we go through this and get to them. But first off, we got, of course, this Sunday, we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the New York Giants in MetLife Stadium. So essentially, Sam Darnold is going home, although he didn't play for the Giants. He played for the Jets, but they played in the same stadium. So this is a home trip for him. Who do you got in that game?
Well,
Give me your thoughts.
Coach, and I want to get this out the way so I don't become super long-winded, right?
Okay.
When I make my selection. So I'm talking to UP Nation, to everyone, new subscribers, how I'm making my picks, right? So I want you to know where my brain is at on the inside of making all these picks, right? And it's something general, just paying attention to the team. So I think the number one thing that I'm going to make all these picks on is my belief in a top 10 defense, right? So that is the number one reason of all my picks is a top 10 defense, okay? The number two of it is what I feel like a 25 run, 35-30 pass ratio, right? That's another reason why I'm throwing it. The other part is I'm going to just throw this out here so everyone understands this. KOC's first year skated injury-free, right? 7-1 at home. Last year, through injuries, we went 2-6 at home. With Kirk Cousins at home, we were 3-4 in games. Without Kirk Cousins, we were 4-6 in games. These are all the things I'm looking at, right? Out of the 6 losses at the home, 3 of them was without Kirk Cousins. So there's just some things that I'm looking at. Out of the 6 losses at home, and this is the last thing, we lost by 3, by 4, by 7, by 2, by 4, and then at the end of the year by Green Bay, when the defense, everything's broken down, quarterback's trash, it was 23 points. So I want you to understand, if you take out the 23-point game, the losses at home was an average of, I would say, 4.5 points. Okay. All right. So that is, go ahead, Coach.
No, go ahead.
So that is all the things that I'm looking at, right? When I say 25 pass, 25 rush, 30, 35 pass, that means early on I believe we're going to protect, Sam a little until he gets comfortable with the playbook, right? So that's and comfortable with him doing things. He can sling the ball though, but we're not going to lean on him. We're going to be more balanced. So that's
You put a lot of thought into this. You breaking it down. You're being meticulous right now.
Yeah.
You broke this down. I like it.
I put my heart to the side. And I want to make these picks.
Okay.
Right.
So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna throw it to you first. I'll get your pick. Keep track of your wins and losses. All right. Keep track of your wins and losses. Then I'm gonna throw it back to me, and I'm gonna make my pick. And then at the end, we'll see where both of our records are gonna be towards the end. All right. Sound good?
I'm good.
All right, man. New York Giants on Sunday. Who you got?
New York Giants, first game of the season, will give us in the middle of the second quarter, we would have woken up, right? And we look more like us. But in the second half, we completely dominate him with that defense. Singletary's not Saquon Barkley, and Daniel Jones, I'm just be honest, right? If there's a New York fan, I'm just being honest. He is not a top 32 quarterback in this league. They did some rankings, and they had him in the top 30 and didn't even have Sam Darnold in there. And there's just things about Daniel Jones that he can't throw the ball downfield. So our defense will give it to him. We cover the point spread in it, right? Vikings 10-point win. I don't even want to give you the points. I'm just say Vikings win.
Okay. Got a Vikings win. So you got the Vikings starting 1-0 for the 2024 season.
Yes.
All right. I look at the New York Giants game, first game of the season. I think both teams are going to be rusty. I've always said this. I'm not a fan of not playing guys. I think what's going to come into play on Sunday is Sam Darnold not getting a lot of live reps. Like if Sam Darnold was a veteran like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, you name it, he probably doesn't need those reps. But you're talking about a guy that didn't play at all last year. He's done nothing but practice, and he has played limited time during the preseason. So now the bullets are going to be flying. Guys are going to be talking stuff across the line. He's got to mentally prepare for that. I think that's going to affect the game somewhat, but I agree with you. I think B-Flow's defense is probably going to be as healthy as it's going to be all year in the first game. And I think when B-Flow has a full toolbox to play with, B-Flow is going to be more effective. He's not going to have to deal with any of those injuries. So I got the Vikings squeaking out a win against the New York Giants on Sunday. I believe the Vikings are favored by, 1.5? The last line I saw, favored by 1.5 in that game. I think the Vikings pull that out in the close one. Minnesota Vikings win versus the New York Giants. So I got them 1-0 to start the season.
Okay. Look good.
All right. San Francisco 49ers. Second game of the season, Pat.
So I had to flip this, right? So it's at home, right? That game is at home, and I was going to take Minnesota until Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams signed. Once those two signed, it changed everything for me. So they just...
Brandon Ayuk makes that much of a difference.
Brandon Ayuk makes that much of a difference to have a number 2 receiver out there. He's a number 2 that can be a number 1, right?
Yep.
He makes that much difference. Trent Williams makes that much difference, right? You're talking about a Hall of Famer at the left tackle, right? That is in one of the best, like in his career. He's always been top. And
Yeah.
that's the blind spot of Purdy, right? And I trust him. I was going to say, oh, they've been out of camp long and whatever. I'm like, they've been in the league long enough. They good. I believe that this is a squeak out by the 49ers, right? This is a very close game. This is might be the closest game that we play in the regular season all year, but the 49ers pull this one off. We start off the season 1-1.
You got the Vikings 1-1 after 2, winning against the New York Giants, losing against the San Francisco 49ers. I, like you, looked at this game, from a lot of different angles. I believe that if we had, a healthy TJ Hawkinson, I think that would help our offense against a really stout defense. Usually the San Francisco 49ers, their defense is pretty solid. We still don't know about Jordan Addison. We know he's going to play this Sunday, but we don't know how healthy he is. Jalen Naylor, same deal. We don't know how healthy he is. So I think that comes into play, that game. Again, San Francisco knows Sam Darnold pretty well. I mean, they got tons of film on him in practice. They've worked with him, so they kind of know where, his kryptonite is, so to speak. And so I think that defense is going to be ready for him. I, like you, think it's going to be a closer game than what people think. I think it's a single-digit game. But I look at the San Francisco 49ers being able to squeak that one out. So I got the Vikings at 1-1 to start the season.
Yep.
Houston Texans.
Houston Texans. We are at home. I'm going to give you a little heads up on something early on. We're going to own the AFC South in my picks.
Ooh.
We are at home.
That's a big statement, Pat.
That's a very bold statement because most of them are at home. So we're playing at home.
Okay.
The young fella really didn't get much rattled. They got him some in the playoffs after he got past the Browns, and he's going through B flows, a different type of defense. Not cracking anybody else's defense, but we were able to do some things to he's going to hit a slump early on before he gets back to CJ Stroud, right? Their defense is going to be stout. This is one of them ones is at home where Dallas Turner gets busy and we say, oh, we don't miss you, Danielle Hunter type of game. That is what I see with everything in place, and we get this one done. 2-1.
2-1 for the Minnesota Vikings right now on Patrick's schedule, beating the Giants, losing to the San Francisco 49ers, and then beating the Houston Texans. I look at this as the Houston Texans having too much firepower. I'm expecting some dings here and there on the defensive side of the ball. I think the Vikings are going to be fighting that battle, all year long with the aggressiveness of B-Flow's defense, how they play. I mean, we got some guys that like to smack back there. So I think we're going to be dealing with the injury bug here and there all season long. And I think you've got to be at full strength to be able to deal with, the full complement of what the Houston Texans have on offense. CJ Stroud, I don't expect for him to have a sophomore slump. I think he's going to be ready to go. I think Danielle Hunter is going to be motivated. Stephon Diggs is going to be motivated. And I think the Houston Texans, that coaching staff on the other side of the ball, are really smart, intelligent coaching staff. So I think that's going to be a tough one for the Minnesota Vikings to pull out. I know you talked about their home record earlier in the podcast. To me, the Vikings have always kind of been jinky at home. I don't buy into the home field advantage. They haven't really shown that it's a big advantage for them over the years. I thought you made some good points with Kirk Cousins and starting quarterback being out. But I see the Houston Texans pulling this one out. I got the Vikings at 1-2 after 3 games. Number 4, Green Bay Packers rivalry game.
This one, if I'm not mistaken, is at Green Bay.
It is at Green Bay.
This is at Green Bay. So, this is our split, right? We split with them. It's our rivalry. It's split game. It's, Aaron Jones goes over there. He's going to try to get nutty, but he's going to remember that game because they might talk some junk to him, and his get back probably will be later. Jordan Love, he was awesome in his last 10 games of the season, last 8-10 games. And I believe this is where Jordan has a lot of weapons over there, and that he's going to sling that ball. This puts us, our defense is going to be great, but we're going to try to, like through the first 3 games, they're gonna know we're trying to pound it. So this is where a little bit comes on Sam Darnold, and I don't think at this moment yet that he takes care of business in the air with the win. I think it'll come up later, but right here, it's on the road at Green Bay. I give it to the Packers. We 2-2.
Yeah, I think the Vikings lucked out on this one. I think they get Green Bay when the weather is pretty good. They don't have to go to Green Bay in December and play in that cold. I do think Aaron Jones is going to be motivated.
Yeah.
I predict that he's going to go for 2 touchdowns in that game. I also predict that he's going to do a Lambeau leap in that game. I just think he's
Get the
going to. I
sombrero
think he's
out.
going to play. Yes, I just think he's going to play well, Pat. But I do think Green Bay is they'll be a better team. Jordan Love is not going to play them out of that game, although I think B-Flow is going to make it extremely hard on the young man. I agree with you. I just don't think Sam Darnold is going to be ready. I think Sam Darnold is going to grow as this season goes. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder as if J.J. McCarthy was healthy. So I think he's going to have opportunity to grow. But I think this is too early for Sam Darnold. So I got the Vikings losing the game to Green Bay, starting off the season 1-3.
Yeah.
Next one, this one is overseas in London. You got Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. What do you got?
Aaron's played against Minnesota. He really's only played against this team, right? KOC twice, if I'm not mistaken. So this becomes his 5th matchup versus KOC. It's overseas in London. We've been pretty good overseas with our record. I think the Jets still lack help outside of Garrett Wilson in the passing game. I don't believe that whoever like Cooley or some of these other guys show up right now for him early on. Breece Hall's pretty good out the backfield. They're going to have to use him a lot more. They got issues. They got a holdout, right, on the defensive side. So that's causing problems out the locker room. Aaron Rodgers is disruptive in he's got people, Aaron Rodgers, he makes people feel uncomfortable sometimes. And I think that's just going to, I believe he knows every head coach, like he knows more than him. And I think now that he's in there, especially watching him go through day 1-2, he's going to try to control a lot of situations. They're in their own way. They got to go back home and fix stuff. Vikings 3-2. We take care of business in that game. And this is less about us. Like, we're excited to go into the bye week. That's the part about us. It's more about them in this game where I feel like we get the W and 3-2 going into the bye week.
I like that pick. I don't understand the narrative that people have. I've seen on ESPN and stuff that Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are going to be bad. Like, I don't see Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets having a bad season. Will they be as good as being able to get it to the Super Bowl? I don't know about that, but I don't see them having a bad season. When was the last time the New York Jets had a legit quarterback? Man, you could argue probably since Joe Namath. Now they probably got that. And everybody keeps saying, well, we don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to get back to that MVP form. I don't think he has to be, back to that MVP form. I think he just has to play decent and not lose games for the New York Jets because their defense is supposed to be really good. Sauce Gardner and the boys back there. So I think if he just plays, a little bit better than average, I think the New York Jets are going to have a good season. But I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be too much for the Jets. I think out of all the wins on the schedule, this might be the Vikings' biggest win of the season. That jet lag stuff is for real, man. It's for real. So I know the teams are going to have to go over there and get acclimated. I think B-Flow is going to have something for Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to make him test that Achilles. And it's still early in the season. We don't know where that thing is going to be, where Aaron Rodgers' confidence is going to be with his Achilles. But I think that's going to be the game plan going forward against Aaron Rodgers, making him move out of that pocket, blitzing him to death, see if he can take off on that thing and continue to be accurate. I got the Minnesota Vikings beating the New York Jets big time. big time over in London. So I got the Vikings at 2-3 to start the season.
Okay, we're a little flip. You 2-3, I'm 3-2. We both going into the bye week. We don't know what's gonna happen. So
Don't know what's going to happen. The bye week gives you a chance to get a little bit healthy.
yep.
And then you're coming out and you're playing your division rivals at home, the Detroit Lions.
Yep. So having those 2 weeks to really prepare for Detroit is fantastic coming from overseas. I love how the NFL takes care of you especially you come from far overseas, right? This game in Brazil tomorrow is only 2 hours from the East Coast. It ain't that far. So for them to be able to get 2 weeks, but not only that, they get Dalton Reiser back, who gives depth to the offensive line, just in case it's needed. But the most important thing that might be an early on security blanket is TJ Hawkinson for Sam Darnold, right? Now that you're how you put people in the box because of the way you're running, how you're going out to defend, knowing Aaron Jones can catch out the backfield. Now we be like the tight ends, Oliver Munch and all, like they take care of business, right?
Yeah.
Yep. But this is TJ Hawkinson. This is seriously top 3-4 tight end in the league. So his dynamicness brings it back. This is when B-Flow goes back to the drawing board. Not that it's bad, but he throws in some wrinkles because he's got this bye week, right? So he comes in, Jared Goff on the road. This is it. AFC North and the NFC North are the two toughest divisions. The question marks to compare the two is quarterbacks of Minnesota and Chicago. Well, by this time, we got a comfort zone. I feel we're 3-2. We keep rolling. Another win at home, 4-2 versus Detroit Lions. Like, don't get me wrong. Very close game. I just don't see Campbell getting out his way. He's going to stick with what he does, and I think he's going to have opportunities that he's just going to pass up on.
Yeah. The key to this game is the bye week. The bye week, again, if you look at past seasons, man, there's always attrition that is settling in the early part of the season. Again, you got those injuries, and everything is gearing up towards the Vikings to win this game. They're going to have an extra week to get healthy. Sam Darnold's going to have another week under his belt. B-Flow's going to have his guys a little bit more healthy. And as of right now, I don't have the Vikings with a win at home yet. So sooner or later, the Vikings have got to win a home game. And I think this is the game where the Vikings surprise a lot of people. They're going to be underdogs in this game, but I think the Vikings are going to surprise a lot of people. I think they're going to take care of business at home against the Detroit Lions in front of a raucous crowd. Again, having that week of rest for the bye week. And I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to get them with that B-Flow defense. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be 3-3 at this point to start the season. You got them at 4-2. Yep. I got them at 3-3 right now, Pat.
All right. There we go.
All right. Los Angeles Rams. This is kind of a homecoming for KOC.
Yeah, it's a homecoming. You're going out to L.A. Sean McVay's a hell of a coach. I know Aaron Donald has retired, but they've got Cooper Kupp. They got Puka. They got Kyron Williams. They're always still going to be a tough defense over there in the Rams. KOC might, I think he'll be fine and handle it fine, right? He might have a little bit of hyping up stuff in him. So, two head coaches going at each other. I just think we're going on the road. We have this streak now of 3 games in a row, and I think this is where the early 3-game-in-a-row streak ends. Just for a slight second, and we go on the road. Tough environment. Go against the Rams. We take a loss there.
All right. Got them losing to the Rams. Puts the Vikes at 4-3. I think, there's always going to be that game on the road where, it's just kind of lackluster. And, they're not going to show up. And I'm not saying that this is going to be that game, but I do think the Rams are really improved. Ever since they won that Super Bowl, they've kind of been trending downhill. Stafford's dealt with some injuries, stuff like that. But I think they made a step last year to prove that they were back. I think they're going to be kind of the same type of team this year. If anybody knows KOC's system is going to be McVay. So I think he's going to have a little bit of the edge there. And I think it's just a bad matchup for the Vikings. I see the Minnesota Vikings dropping this game like you. I think it could be one of those games where we just don't show up. It's going to be one of those games where I think it's going to be a double-digit win for the Rams. So I got the Vikings dropping that game, dropping to 3-4 for the season. Next game, Indianapolis Colts. This was a tough one for me. Indianapolis Colts.
Indianapolis Colts. This game is where again?
This game is at home.
I mean, Anthony Richardson is dynamic. It's still his first season, right,
Yeah,
as a
good
quarterback,
point.
and B-Flow can change some things up within him. By this time, hopefully for them, their wide receivers have come to life, but I think our defensive backs, I think the scheme up front, that offensive line needs to get much better that they have over there in the Colts. They got a Wisconsin running back there, so we got to slow him down, Jonathan Taylor. So I believe we're at home. We came back from the West Coast, back to the Midwest. This is here. This is when it flips. And this is when we go 65-35. And this is when Sam Darnold starts to really feel comfortable. And this is when, Minnesota get 2 games above 500, I believe, at a 5-3 record. He slings the ball. He gets 3 touchdowns. We scored 30, our most points of the season right here in this game. And we're feeling it, right? Everyone, the defense is feeling it, right? The offense feeling it. The coaches are feeling it. There's some swag in the building, that culture. Just everything's going right. We take care of business versus the Indiana Colts.
At 5-3 right now, Patrick Buchanan. Okay. I look at this is going to be a hype game. I think the fans, there's going to be, who knows who's going to be up there blowing the horn. The fans are going to be scolding in the stands. It's going to be a capacity crowd. The Vikings are really good at every position in this game. Probably the only place where they're not comparable, to the Colts is probably at the quarterback position, even though Sam Darnold a little bit more experience in the league. I agree with you. The Colts have a dynamic quarterback in Richardson. Everything on paper says that the Minnesota Vikings should win this game. Like there's no you're at home, you should be semi-healthy. You had the bye week a couple of weeks ago. I just think the Minnesota Vikings are going to lose this game.
Okay.
When everything is set up, for them to win it, I think they're going to stub their toe in this game. The Indianapolis Colts, with that dynamic quarterback making decisions back there, I think is going to be the difference in a close game. I got the Colts beating the Vikings and the Vikings dropping to 3-5. That was a tough one. That was a tough one.
Yeah, you got them 3-5. I got them 5-3. And we don't, right? No one knows, right? You guys are going to share yours, right? So here we are in the first 8. Give me a second, coach. All right, UP, I had to take a breath, okay? Because
Yep.
I just think we got to have a little bit more fun with this. So
Okay.
here we go, week 10, right? We're week 10 now. Who do we got?
We got the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Where's that
at
game at,
Jacksonville.
Coach?
Let me say this, Pat. This is the first of a 3-game road trip, which is really rare in the NFL. So we got 3 road games in a row.
Yep. So, I know Trevor Lawrence got the money. I'm not trustworthy yet in him. Without Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk is pretty good. ETN run share is heavy, but I think run and catch there is very heavy. So I believe that, the defense, is scheming up some things. He gets after him. Lawrence tries too much to get back in this game. This is at home, right? Trevor Lawrence, he'll make some mistakes. They'll take the running away from him as well because they've dealt with a couple of running quarterbacks with that threat already. So we're in a good place. Defense, Sam Darnold is still rocking. Aaron Jones is still doing his thing. Now they're trying to figure out because he's rocking, Jefferson getting busy, right? He's 96, 8-point yards a game is still the highest average. He's
Yep.
continuously getting that average. We're knocking on wood. We're healthy at this time. We weren't fully healthy. Sometimes your luck changes, and we're healthy right now. We get this W 6-3 right now.
Yeah, I'm not buying the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they will be strong early in that game as we start to make some coaching adjustments, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think we're going to get to Lawrence during the game. I think we're going to be stout, shut down their running game, and I just think we're going to give them a lot of trouble. I like the Minnesota Vikings in the first game of this road trip against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got a win there. I got them going 4-5 after 9, and you've got them winning this game or
Winning
losing
this
this game?
game.
You got them winning this game. So you got the Vikings 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3 right now.
All right. Now we head to Tennessee. Another road game, another one less day of practice, and another day of travel. Who do you got this game? Who do you like?
If they had a dynamic offense over there, I know it's, the offensive coordinator from Cincinnati, so he's going to put in. Still a year of trying to learn a new system over there. Will Levis will be a much better this year. The loss of Derrick Henry, they're really going to find out what that's really like because of what Derrick Henry does, but the two-headed monster they got in the backfield is good. Now you guys are dropping back, right? You see Donald has had 2 good games. Aaron Jones goes and gets busy, and Ty Chandler goes and gets busy this game. This game, he still puts up a little bit over 200, but we pound this game, and we put up almost 200 on the ground, and we grind this out. New defense coordinator, new offense, new everything over there. So I don't feel like Will Levis is going to be horrible, 32 quarterback, but I think he's going to be serviceable enough. But once again, when I started this podcast, right, how strong their team is not. Our number one reason why I'm choosing this record and these picks is B-Flow, the continuity of having your defense coordinator back, right? Knowing that you were a top 4 defense between week 4 and week 14, right, of the season. So, you have better players than you had last year on defense. So I take a W right here on the road at Tennessee, 7-3 to start right now.
All right, the Vikings are 7-3. I agree with you. I always say this, man. It's going to take something out of the ordinary for a rookie quarterback to deal with B-Flow. I think a rookie quarterback dealing with B-Flow, that's a nightmare for them. The only reason why I gave the nod to Richardson in the Indianapolis Colts game is, he's semi a rookie. This is essentially going to be his rookie year because he went out really early last year, but he's got that escapability. So he's able to freelance against certain things. I don't think Levis, even though he's not a statue back there, he's a mobile quarterback. I don't think he has the jets that Richardson has for Indianapolis. I just think B-Flow is going to be a little bit too much for him. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. You also got a guy like Dallas Turner now, who, if he is healthy, he's got a slew of games under his belt. And as he gets more games under his belt, he's going to be more productive. Pat, I got the Minnesota Vikings winning this game. I got them getting back to 500. They're 5-5 after 10 games against Tennessee.
Now I got them at 7-3. Now, I'm going to share this with UP. What's the next game, Coach?
Next game is Soldier Field, Chicago against those Chicago Bears.
Now, like I told you all, right now I got us 4-0 against the AFC South. That was where a lot of bread and butter that I felt in our picks were in our record, right? NFC's North. Caleb Williams is a hell of a quarterback. They've never given Justin Fields, they never given Jay Cutler. This is the first quarterback of Rex Chapman. These guys have never had this type of offensive weaponry for them, right? Their defense played so fantastic down the stretch over there in Chicago, right? And there in Soldier Field, he's embracing everything he does, right? Once again, the AFC North is top 2 division in the league. NFC North is, and we're going on the road. We just emotional win over there We're kind of hyped. We're at 7-3. We kind of fall asleep going into Chicago. And Chicago surprises us. And this is where we have to, this is our coming to Jesus moment, right? After we lose this game, the way that we lose this game in Chicago, it's a coming to Jesus moment for us, recoup KOC and the guys, but we just don't play good as a team, right? And there's not a finger pointing anywhere. We just don't play good in this game. You know, we just don't play good, and they're human, so that happens. So I got us at 7, if I'm not mistaken, and 4 right now, Coach.
7-4 right now. 7-4 is, I mean, you're flirting with the playoffs. That's a pretty good record.
Yep.
It's a pretty good record.
Yep.
I got the Minnesota Vikings losing this game. Not that the Bears are a better team, but obviously the Bears they have improved. You know, they've got their quarterback. They got their quarterback some weapons, more weapons than Justin Fields has ever had there. I think their defense is going to be a really good defense in the NFL. And if I have them beating Jacksonville and I have them beating Tennessee, I just don't see the Vikings winning 3 road games in a row. Like, this is a unicorn. Most times on an NFL schedule, you don't have 3 road games in a row. So they got to get dinged somewhere. I'm like you. I like them at Jacksonville. I like them at Tennessee. That third game, they're going to be exhausted from traveling on the road, living in hotel rooms, and having to play. I see the Minnesota Vikings dropping that game to Chicago on the 24th, and I got the Vikings at 5-6 right now. Next game, Arizona Cardinals. December 1st.
In Minnesota.
At home.
At home. That road trip, we're excited to sleep in our own bed. You know, he still doesn't have the weapons. Marvin Harrison's young, Michael Wilson, you know, Connors or Cowbell, right? The offensive line isn't the greatest and the defense isn't great. They've been playing good. Kyler Murray's a threat with his legs, but we've played enough running quarterbacks thus far. But we are back home, right? We have only lost 1 home game in the season. We are feeling it. We're licking our chops. The bad taste in the mouth for Chicago, we're about to take it out on the Arizona Cardinals. Sam Darnold gets back to what he's doing. The defense gets back, pin their ears back, really get after him over there. I just think this is one of them comfort, sleep in your beds, get back after we took a tough loss in Chicago. Not a tough loss, an ugly loss in Chicago. So this is the get back, get us to 8-4 right now.
You are generous with the wins. I look at Arizona. I don't like the Minnesota Vikings against really, really mobile quarterbacks. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think they can make plays. I think the great equalizer against B-Flow are guys that can move and freelance and make plays on their own or have the ability to make plays on their own. I think the Vikings are the better team, but I think they come home and I think they stub their toe against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they drop that game that they shouldn't drop. And I think the Vikings fall to 5-7 on the year. That was another tough one for me to pick. I was about 50-50 up until last night, but just kind of looked at some things. And again, I expect injuries to be a big factor in this. Hopefully nobody's out for a long period of time. But I just don't think the Vikings are going to be 100%. I don't think the Arizona Cardinals are going to be 100% either. If they don't have Kyler Murray, I think the Vikings win that game. Kyler Murray is going to be able to make some plays with his feet. I think that's going to be the difference. So I got the Vikings dropping that game.
Yep. And I just, you know, how in my mindset of thinking, we talked about our 1s, our 2s, our 2s and 3s all preseason, how good they look. And that's where I think we have the depth at, right? It was tough to make cuts. And I believe there's injuries, but our depth
that's a great point.
He keeps holding us up.
Yep, that's a great point. Next game is the Atlanta Falcons. Woo-hoo-hoo. This is the give back game. This game on both sides going to have a lot of emotions involved with it. For me, I'm hopeful that nothing happens to Kirk Cousins before then. I don't want him to get benched. I don't want him to re-injure his Achilles. I want him playing in that game. That game is going to be box office. So who do you got in that game, Pat?
This could be one of them how you like that moments for him. You know, Kurt always has those random who you like those moments. I believe in the first They have a weak division, so yeah, I believe they're going to almost go 5-1, 4-2 in that division. They're going to run through that division. But Kurt's going to show the Falcons fans what we've known for 6 years, right? When someone's in his face, he can take it, but sometimes he just, I mean, them 3-and-outs, right? The 3-and-outs. Because his weapons haven't ever done anything, right? The Moonies, he struggled in Chicago, right? Drake London is their best receiver, but he hasn't been dynamic. Kyle Pitts has not lived up to the hype, right? They got Algiers and Bijan Robinson down there. They're talking about Raheem Morris is a fantastic coach. He's a hell of a defense coordinator. He's going to get after it. He's going to be ready. That's the chess match is going to be B-Flow and Raheem Morris, right? How they going to call the game? They got some offensive weapons, but I just don't. I think, we're able to shut them down a little bit. Kirk does have a Kirk moment in the game, but we're at home. And at this moment, we've only lost to the 49ers at home. And right now is not the time to run away from that with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think they will have been tested as much as we have when it comes to the schedule, the strength of the schedule thus far. So, yes, Judah and Simmons made their defense much better, but I don't think it's enough coming here. Those guys knew they could never tackle him. They could never hit him. You got the opportunity to hit the quarterback that wore the red jersey all the time right now. That's a circle game. That's a circle game for everyone. That's JJ circling, like saying, why you should have never left, right? You got this. Ain't none of them me over there, and ain't none of them. No disrespect to them. Ain't none of them. Vikings, after this first half, Vikings go and dominate the game. Stadium starts to clear out. They're going to dominate this game at home in the second half.
Forward to win now. I wish the insurance policy in this game were, if the game was a primetime game at like 7 o'clock at night, because we all know Kirk Cousins wouldn't play well. I believe in being motivated, and I believe Kirk Cousins is going to come in with the mindset of playing his best football. He's got to have in his heart, in his brain somewhere, I got to give it to the Minnesota Vikings. And Kirk Cousins is no scrub. But there's nobody that knows and had a really good look at Kirk Cousins other than B-Flow. And I think B-Flow is going to throw some. B-Flow knows what makes Kirk a little nervous. So he's going to, I believe B-Flow has a special playbook just for this game. I think he's building that right now as he goes on. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Vikings are going to have. Here's a couple of predictions that I have. I think Kirk Cousins is going to throw a couple of picks that game. I think the Vikings are going to have 3+ sacks that game. I think Kirk Cousins is going to make some plays. Like, I think Kirk Cousins is going to beat us a couple times, but not a lot during that game. I think the Minnesota Vikings win this game. I think the Minnesota Vikings go to 6-7. I think they can't lose that game. This is their Super Bowl. I don't think anybody's picking the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl, but this is their Super Bowl. They can't let Kirk Cousins, man, walk back up in here and win this game. I'm telling you right now, UP Nation, if the Minnesota Vikings drop that game, I'm going to be an ornery SOB coming on the post-game show. I'm just letting you know right now. The Vikings better not drop that game. I got them winning that game, and here's my last prediction. Somebody on the defensive side of the ball for the Minnesota Vikings are going to get in front of a camera at some point and say, "You like that? You like that?" At some point during the game. That is my prediction. Minnesota Vikings at 6-7 right now. All right. Next one. You got the Chicago Bears rematch.
How do I say it? This is right. I mean, what do I have us at?
You're at 9-4 right now, man. You got us etched in the playoffs right now, Coach.
And I'll tell everybody at the end, but Don't always read too far. Stay with this because it's not Cinderella. So this is our 10th win of the season. We get this one. We take care of business. This is just a revenge game, right? I believe some games we're in splits in the division. So this is one of those games. So I think we take this right here, this win. And there's nothing to it. It's just, we played you a couple of weeks ago, and now we got to get back to this game. So
Yeah, when I was going through this, I was really surprised at where I was with the Minnesota Vikings in terms of their record. I do think the Minnesota Vikings win this game. I picked the Bears to win the first one. Only reason why I picked the Bears to win the first one at Soldier Field because they were coming off that 3-game road trip. And that was the third game of the 3-game road trip. Now they're at home. They've been at home for 2 weeks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, UP Nation, but this will be the third game of a road trip for the Chicago Bears coming into Minnesota for that game. That's going to be tough. B-Flow is going to be too much for Mr. Williams at quarterback. He's going to throw a lot of stuff at him. Everybody's going to be refreshed. I think the Minnesota Vikings are a better team. I got the Minnesota Vikings winning that game and getting back to 500 at 7-7. Vikings travel up to Seattle for that 15th game of the season to face the Seattle Seahawks. Who you got?
Well, man, has always been a tough place for us to go. There's nothing that's going to change in this game. We're at 10-7. People haven't looked past us no more. Now they're going to look at us a different way. And I think that coaches are going to scheme us. I think people start to figure out some things with B-Flow. I think Sam Darnold, starts to, drift just a little bit in this, right? We try to get back to the run, but it's too late. I just think Seattle with the veterans and the culture that they have over there just takes over, and they get us in this game.
Yeah,
They get us
Seattle. We don't have historically a great record up there.
No.
So I agree with you. That 12th man up there is going to be tough. Seattle Seahawks, just with that veteran leadership up there, good coaching up there. I think we get dinged up there after coming off a 3-game win streak against, in my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears. I think this is where that streak ends. I don't see the Vikings winning 4 games in a row. So I think we get dinged at Seattle, dropping us to 7-8. You got them at 10-5 on your side. Now we got Green Bay at home, rivalry game at home.
I think this game, Green Bay is going to be fighting for a top 2 seed in the NFL. They are really rolling over there. That's a very good team. I think that I'm going to pick them as the North winners. We usually try to split with them, whatnot, but I think this is one of them games where they come in there. Like I said, Sam has showed himself a little bit right now. We're not as strong as we are. We're fighting and struggling. Some bad luck has occurred with us during this time right now as a team. I believe the Green Bay Packers come in. Fantastic game to watch, right? But they just come out on a W. Jordan Love and those guys are a little bit too much for us that night. Sam Darnold doesn't have another great night. We're starting to wake up now, right? We're starting to wake up. I believe this right now puts us at 10-6. I believe that's where we are, and that's where we are right now after this game. So the division champs go and take it, who's fighting for a top 2 seed in the NFL at this moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. I picked for before the season started, not even looking at the schedule, I think the Green Bay Packers are probably going to sweep us this season. I think we'll play them tough at home. I just think they'll be fighting, like you said, for seeding, playoff positioning. This game will mean a lot to them. I think Jordan Love will come in here not having to play outside in, artificial conditions in the dome. I think, that helps both teams out, but when you don't have to play outside, it helps you offensively. I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be pretty decent offensively. So I look at the Vikings as getting swept by the Green Bay Packers. This will be the last year where the Minnesota Vikings get swept by the Green Bay Packers. We'll have JJ coming back the following year, and all this Green Bay Packer dominance is going to be over. But I do see the Minnesota Vikings dropping that game. I got them at 7-9. Last game of the season at Detroit.
At Detroit, right now we're 10-6. I believe we hit a streak. I believe Detroit is the number 2 team in our division. I believe that we split with them. We beat them at our place. We go take this L. We're on a 3-game losing streak, going into what I believe is 3 teams out the NFC North, and us being the 3rd team, winning the game. 3rd team out the NFC North, being able to get into the playoffs. There's 7 teams now. So I believe that wild card comes from somewhere over there in the NFC East or the NFC West. I don't think it comes from the South. So I think there's a team in either one of those divisions that gets 2 in, but the NFC North gets 3 teams in. It's a tough loss. We get a chance to regroup. Someone else takes an L that helps us get in here. That's out of one of those 2 coast divisions. It's tough for us. This is where KLC is making his money. This is where he's going to make his money. How to get us regrouped as we find ourselves in the 7th seed in the playoffs.
You got the Minnesota Vikings dropping that game?
I got us dropping that game at 10-7, right?
10-7. That's not a bad record, man. That's not a bad record for the season. I do think 10-7.
Like I said, hold on, right? I said hold on. It was looking like something else, but not the way I had it. I had them at 10-7 the whole time. So
Yep. I look at this game. Again, I picked the Vikings to split with the Lions. The Vikings got them earlier at home, so I think the Lions are going to be again fighting for playoff spots and seedings and stuff like that. I think they're going to be, with Dan Campbell coaching, I think they're going to be highly motivated to beat Minnesota, because Minnesota beat them the first time according to my schedule. So I do think the Minnesota Vikings will drop that game, and they will end the season at 7-10. Not making the playoffs, but overall having a good competitive season. As I look back throughout the schedule, I really don't see them getting blown out or playing bad in any one game. I think they are competitive as they've always been under KOC, losing a lot of close games. I just think that this is not their year. They're building for 2025, 2026. So although Sam Darnold plays pretty decently this year, I don't see him, really getting us over the hump.
yeah, I just flipped the records from what it was last year. Going into last year before the injuries happened, they thought we were 11-win team. We come in there and we win 7 games, right? They think we're a 6.5 win team. I think that they're going to be a 10-win team. One of the ones, the shocker. I just think that all those things, the defense, the play of these veteran guys that we have some youth as well. When I talk about youth, I say 25, 26-year-old, right? Maybe second year or something in the league. I feel there's enough veteran. We're average of 27 years old for this team. I believe they can go out there and they can go and win 10 games, right? They had a lot of, if you go and look at the games with all the turnovers, forget the injuries, and you look at the turnover battle early on in the season, right, Coach? And when I think we started 1-4 or 1-5, something like that last year, you take the turnovers away, it's a whole different game. And I believe they've been stressing ball security and, trying to win the turnover battles. And I believe that's something that happens early on and helps us get the jump to where we are at that 10-7 record, right? I don't see us much above that. Yes, we could be below that, right? But I don't see us much above the 10-7. Okay. Would love it if they are, but I got to go with reality and what I feel.
Yeah, you and I are not much different. It's only a 3-game difference. I've seen some prognosticators that have the Vikings at 3 wins. I've also seen as many as 12 wins. I think it's going to be somewhere in between. My 7-10 record, your 10-7 record is kind of right there. I'm actually hoping I'm wrong. I hope you are more right, because I do think 10-7 gets us in the playoffs. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. UP Nation, put what you think the Minnesota Vikings record is going to be. It's going to be fun to kind of tabulate all this stuff. and see who gets the closest, see who picks, the majority of the games right as we look back on the season when the season is over. UP Nation also, if you guys didn't watch the podcast yesterday of Patrick Picks, make sure that you watch that as well. Patrick's going to give you some picks for those of you that likes to dabble a little bit on the betting front. Patrick's going to give you some insight on what he thinks are good bets. Again, my man Patrick is not responsible for people losing their money. So, have fun. Let's have fun with this. Gamble responsibly. Also pay your bills. Don't overdo it too much.
Yeah, I know you all were looking forward to this. Hopefully you got a chance to look back at the picks. Hopefully it were good for you. Hopefully you sit back. I know the fan in us sometimes gets in the way, and I know when you saw my record at like 9-4, you were like, "This man is a fan." But if you look at it, the record was 1-3 down the stretch, right? And that's just not the fan in me. That's the football analysis in me. So, but yeah, hopefully you watch the entire episode. Yeah, Coach.
Well, thanks for your time and your picks. It's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. On behalf of your host, Patrick Buchanan, and myself, Lionel Jones, we will make sure to see you when we see you. Enjoy all of the football games this weekend. Enjoy the Minnesota Vikings game on Sunday. We will be back with you on Sunday night to talk about, hopefully, a Minnesota Vikings win. This has been Unconventional Playbook. We will make sure to see you when we see you. Latre, take us home, man.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm a man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am? I don't know.